Hey guys, this is the FANA podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm Top. Listen, for all you groundhoppers out there, this podcast is for you. And today we're joined by a good friend of mine, a guy I work with, a coach with a football team in Wisewood. And it is the founder of Wisewood Juniors himself. It is Brian. How are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks, Jake.
Yeah, great.
You?
Thanks, mate. Good to have you on.
No, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
So, Brian, what's your background in football?
Yes. Right, Ben. Well, basically, it all started off when I had a bad injury myself in my mid-20s, double spiral break of my leg, and I was having a couple of years out. And I was approached by Keith Mace, my next-door neighbour then, who sadly passed away recently, bless him, to start a junior football club to keep the kids off the streets and out of trouble. And we did. That was 1988. We had one team, and now it's grown since then into 20 plus. We have a girls section, a disabled section or disability counts section, open age, and we have a veterans team. So we go all the way through from the Little Lions, which are age 3 to 6. It's our little academy for bringing players through. And then we have teams at every age through to under 18, where we link with Hallam FC. And any players that are good enough can trial with them, get in with their under 18s, and hopefully the 19s, 21s, the reserves, and then hopefully the first team. If they're not quite good enough to go professional, we give them a chance to play semi-professional.
Yes, we have a affiliation with Hallam FC, don't we?
Yeah, from 16. Once they finish in the junior league, the Sheffield and District Junior League, we then run 2 teams actually with Hallam Wisewood.
Yeah.
And go on, sorry.
No, carry on, Brian, yeah.
Yeah, basically they can trial to see if they can get into the first team or the second team under 18 level. And then from there, the under 19s and 21s coaches keep an eye on them. And if they think they're good enough, they'll ask them to play in midweek, because the 19s and 21 leagues are played on Wednesdays, Thursday nights during the week.
Decent.
So we've got a good progression line for any kids that are keen enough and good enough and dedicated enough, really, because nowadays with all the foreign players that are in the country, then there's not many opportunities for our guys, so they have to work extra hard, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah. And do you want to mention to everyone about Bochum, Germany?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's one of our, I call it the jewel in the crown at Wisewood, is that we have a relationship with the twin city of Sheffield, Bochum. And since 1991, we've run an exchange visit scheme. It's a bit like, I always class it as the modern day pen pal scheme, where when I was a lad, we used to just write to people in different countries. But we have an exchange visit where we go there 1 year and they come back to Sheffield the year after. I started the scheme myself with a gentleman called Felix May in DJK Adlerinka in Bochum. And it all started, he actually wrote to Sheffield City Council asking if there was a club interested in Sheffield because of the twin city relationship. And we put our name forward, and it all started from there. And in the odd years we go there, in the even years they come back to Sheffield. We hook them up with host families. The kids stay together learn different cultural and social ideas on different countries, and it's a great experience for them. I've never missed one. It would have been our 30th year last year, getting together, 30th visit, but unfortunately with COVID, etc., last year was cancelled. This year's cancelled already. So hopefully, vaccine permitting, we can recommence our relationship next Easter 2022. It's always over the Easter weekend as well. But it's fantastic for the kids, unbelievable. You ask any of the kids that have gone through the ranks of Wisewood and they've been on the exchange visit, and you'll not hear a bad word said about it. It's fantastic. Do everything together.
I'm delighted to say that I was there last year with you at Bockham, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
time.
you were. You came. Yeah, you came with us, didn't you? So it's honestly, it's unbelievable. I always say to the kids, if there's one thing you do while you're in your time with Wisewood, make sure you get involved on the exchange visit with DJK Adler.
Totally agree, mate.
I've kept in touch with them during the lockdown anyway, and COVID times, and they're all doing well. They're same as us. They're missing the camaraderie. But for me, that's what football's all about as well. It's the social background that you can extend, and it's got no limits, no boundaries for me. I think with football, the world's your oyster. So it's up to you to grasp it and get out there.
I agree, mate. You've done a cracking job there. And we had a cracking time, didn't we, last year? I mean,
we didn't. It's not just down to me. It's everybody that's gone through Wisewood's books. And people like Dave Warwick, who bought into it and got involved, and James Baxter. There's been plenty that were there on the first visit. And Paul Cartledge, he's got really good friends there now. So, and that goes for a lot of us. There's absolutely, I would say, hundreds, if not thousands, of people that have gone through books at Wisewood that have got good friends now in Germany, in Bochum. So, and we all go over for different reasons. It's not just the football, Jake. You know yourself, I go over for the ice hockey. We have the veterans tournament there in the summer as well that we go over for. The older lads from Wisewood, the Wisewood Old Edwardians, we go over in June, well, COVID permitting, and we have a Veterans International weekend, which again, absolutely fantastic.
No, mate, absolutely fantastic. It's just a shame that we didn't beat them when we played them, because we were unbeaten, weren't we? All kids have got a result, and then the main game. I ain't got.
What were our average age? Our average age were about 50. Their average age were about 21.
Wasn't it really? Yeah.
Yeah. Their average age was in the 20s and ours was in the 50s. And we gave them a game. But again, it's about taking part and everybody enjoying it and having a good time. And we did. We had a great time. So, yeah, I'm sure the times will be back next year. Under what circumstances and travel restrictions, etc. I've no idea. But I'm looking forward to it regardless.
I'd absolutely love to go again.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll get back with us. We'll be back. As Arnold Schwarzenegger said, I'll be back. So,
and hopefully next time if I do go, I'll be able to hit the target as well. Because that game.
There is that, but at least you can run.
So, Brian, we've talked about the Wisewood side of it and your exchange visit. In terms of football, is there any team you support? And what about non-league football? Do you like to visit non-league grounds?
Yeah, I like to. To be fair, I think throughout the time, I've travelled to a lot of non-league grounds, but also as well, basically, I do like going abroad to different stadiums, Spain, France, Germany. Been to a few in Germany, watching different teams. So yeah, it's varied. I mean, I used to sponsor and go to Alfreton, which was always a good day out. Go and watch. I think Nicky Lowe was the manager when I used to go there quite a bit. But it's great going to grassroots. Stocksbridge, been up to Stocksbridge a few times because a good friend of ours, Jake, through Wisewood, Steve Shepherd, he's one of the sponsors up at Stocksbridge, and we used to go and watch Stocksbridge. So that, I mean, it's the next step up from grassroots, and like we all know, Jamie Vardy worked his way up through spending time at Stocksbridge, and so it's great to go and watch it at that level. But it's not just the ground, the players, the level they're at. It's the fans. They've got people that's just besotted with just following their own local team. Yeah, I mean, personally myself, I'm a lifelong Rotherham United fan because I was born and bred in Rotherham, and my dad took me to my first game when I was 6. And it's just ever since, you just stick with your team, or I do anyway. I'm not a glory hunter. I do stick with my team, and I stand by them through thick and thin. But on top of that, I am also a big England fan. I've been a season ticket holder for 13 years down at Wembley. I go to all. I'd used to go to all the away games, but unfortunately, marriage, kids get in the way, and I just select the away games now. So I tend to go to a lot of the tournaments, getting tickets. So I was there when we lost to Iceland in Nice. So that was one of the darker days. So yeah, but look, even following teams like Rotherham, you get your ups and downs. You know what to expect. You've got to set your limits, but just enjoy the time and enjoy the ride. It used to be in years gone by where you'd follow the reserves because you always knew that the players in the reserves, if they were good enough and they were on form, they'd get pushed into the first team. But that don't happen as much now. They tend to use the loan system. I know it's altered now with the transfer window, and the loan system's only available when that is, but they tend to use that now rather than giving the young kids a chance and bringing them through the ranks. So yeah, times have changed, and you have to change with it. But I still think your loyalty has to lie with your hometown and your home team. For me, us, the football pyramid in England or in the UK, even in Scotland, it wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for the way that we've all followed local teams throughout the years, especially in my era anyway. God, I remember the days standing outside the not the changing rooms, the turnstiles, waiting for the players to come out and get autographs. And it made your day before you went home. Or I always remember, God, nobody will remember this, but I used to go to Millmore with my dad, and he'd sit me in there were a pub called Tivoli right outside on corner and Millmore, and he'd go in pub and he'd sit me in this sarsaparilla shop. It's an American fruit drink from the 60s, and he used to sit me in there, give the woman a silver sixpence and said, just give him as much as he wants. And then he'd come and pick me up 5 to 3, take me into the ground, and that were days when Rotherham used to sell Millmore out, and it'd stick me on the wall at the back of the Tivoli on the Cop End, and I'd have to watch from back at wall so I didn't get crushed. But that were my first memories of Millmore. But even Alfreton, when I went to Alfreton, and we were sat in the stadium. Don't laugh. We were sat. They had 2 seats because we'd sponsored game, me and my mate, and we'd gone up on train so we could have a drink. And you hear comments from some of the old fellas that had been following them for donkey's years, and the grief that they used to give the referees and the assistant referees, as they're called now. Some of the comments were just comical, honestly. But again, to me, that's what it's about. Different experiences. Wherever you go, you've got to take it in and embrace it. Even like when you go to Spain, I went to watch Valencia and Villarreal. Different experience altogether on how they enjoy the football. Germany, I went to Dortmund and Schalke, which is a big derby in Nordwestfalen. 88,000 people, and they have a singer in the middle of the stadium that does "You'll Never Walk Alone," and all the Dortmund fans join in with the yellow and black scarves up. It's just a different experience altogether. You just got to embrace it and take it in, which I tend to do. So usually with a few beers involved, as you know, Jake.
So how many countries have you watched football in? I know you're well travelled, mate, but how many countries have you seen a football match in?
Oh, God, too many to count. Honestly, if England's played there, then I've probably been, and not just watching England. Like I said, I do travel to watch foreign games anyway. But I've been in France, Italy, not been to Belgium, so I didn't even go when we played them away. Can't remember why not, but I've been to most European countries. I didn't get to Russia when World Cup were on in 2018.
Yeah,
but been over to Germany for World Cup 2006.
When we lost to Portugal on penalties, that one.
Yep, I was there when Rooney got sent off.
Ronaldo.
So, I mean, well, to be honest, that's the best tournament I've ever been to. Because the Germans do know how to party, honestly.
I can believe that.
No, they do. They set everything up perfectly. Turned unused stadiums into beaches with umbrellas, stages. They had live bands on. There were all the fans there from, well, when we were there, because we were staying in the same area as Swedish fans, Brazilian fans, Koreans. Who else were there? Come on, Trinidad and Tobago. They were so...
Yeah, there was Togo as well, weren't they?
Yeah, so colourful it was. In fact, they were in our group, weren't they?
Trinidad. We beat them, didn't we? Yeah.
We played them in Nuremberg because I had tickets for all games there. Yeah. So I've been to Spain, Scandinavia. I've been there, Sweden, Denmark, watched them against them. So been over to Denmark to watch some ice hockey, but not a football match, only England. So I went over. There were Japan and Korea in 2002. Were that?
You went to Japan and Korea 2002.
Yeah. But only for group games. I didn't get tickets after that. Did
you see David Beckham's penalty then?
You what? Sorry.
Did you see David Beckham's penalty against Argentina?
Yeah. So 1-0.
Remember watching.
But the trouble is, it's like trying to remember them all. To be fair, Jake, it's. I mean, obviously, one of the better ones were 5-1 against Germany. So but even and all crowd singing, even Esky scored 5-1, and even Esky scored. That's something you'll never forget. And then the big scoreboard with a score on at the end. But I was there in Portugal as well when England were playing France in opening game. One of the opening games in group stages, and England were winning 90 minutes on clock. Stadium were packed, and it were 3/4 full of England fans. Atmosphere were brilliant. 1-0 England, 90 minutes. Right, 2 minutes later, England 1, France 2. You could have heard a pin drop.
Yep, it was. I could have cried after watching that. I remember.
Can you remember it? They equalised.
Zidane free kick, weren't it? And then Henry was through on goal, and David James fouled him, didn't he?
Yeah, that's it. It was a bad. We took kick off, made a bad pass back, and he ran through Henry, didn't he? And James cleaned him out.
Yeah.
But did you see penalty? Zidane.
Yeah.
Zinedine Zidane.
Never missed, did he?
If you watch, he put it straight in top corner, and it stuck in stanchion ball. But David James never moved. And do you know why? If you watch that rerun of that penalty, he were actually vomiting when he took penalty. And I think David James was that busy watching him vomit, he never even reacted.
Yeah.
Seriously, you watch that in stadium. I saw it from where I was sat. Could see him throwing up as he were taking penalties, Zidane. So, so you watch it. I don't know whether you can see it if you can find a recording of it and slow it down or whatever. But he's actually ill while he takes the penalty. And they beat us 2-1. Fortunately, we qualified, though. We got through and lost in quarters to Portugal again, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
That's when Beckham put one over at bar. I was right behind goal for that.
Yeah.
When he planted his foot and ground lifted, it was that soft, ground lifted a couple of inches, and he got under the ball and it was still in orbit. I think they've not found it yet. Still in space somewhere. So,
but literally, it probably would have gone into the top tier. Literally, Rose Ed, weren't it?
Yeah, it were terrible. It was just one of them, weren't it? But odds on and all that we'd lose on penalties. Well, when were it? We only won his first penalty shootout, didn't we, recently against Colombia in Russia?
Yep.
First one.
Moment.
Yeah, so we've not been great on penalties. But the atmosphere in Germany for World Cup, when England weren't playing and you were going to other stadiums, they had big screens up and they had games on at dinner time, tea time, and then a match at night. And in between, they had live bands on, right? Yeah. Well, you were mixing with all the other fans, like Koreans. Like I said, the Koreans we had a right laugh with. The Swedish, they were great, really friendly and colourful. I think the only ones really that were not nasty, but a little bit standoffish with us were Brazilians. Didn't really get on well with English fans. Didn't want to mix with us and all that stuff.
Why that one?
I've no idea. No idea at all. Because if they weren't interested, I just didn't think, well, it's not even worth getting involved over. You might as well mix with those that want to get on with you and you have a good time and chat about football experiences that they've had. But no, the facilities and the way the Germans ran it were unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Just a party everywhere you went. I remember staying over when England lost for Germany, Argentina. Were that one at quarterfinals?
I think that. I haven't seen it.
Come on, who were Arsenal
Lehmann,
keeper at the time? Yeah, Lehmann saved it with his head. I think ball hit him in the face, and they won on penalties.
I think that was last 16. I think.
Were it? Well, we were.
I can't remember. Might have been quarters, to be fair.
But we were in, the square at Bochum that we go for a drink in. 360 bar.
Oh, yeah, I remember that bit.
Yeah. They call that the Bermuda Triangle.
Right.
Yeah. That were absolutely full of fans.
Wow.
Not just German fans, but there were 250,000 on that square.
Wow.
250,000 people. Yeah. In Germany, well, when he saved that penalty, Lehmann, one of the best parties I've ever been to anyway, and it just went on all night. Unbelievable. Absolutely. Seriously. They had a stage down at the bottom end, just below the 360 bar, and they just put live bands on all night, and they just made one big party of it. But it was fantastic. They just did a great job on running the whole tournament. So yeah, they didn't win it either, did they? Who won
Italy.
it? Then
Italy beat him in the semi-final and went on to win it.
Yeah, they beat him in Dortmund, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, because I don't think they'd ever lost in Dortmund until then. The Italians were first team to beat them.
After extra time, weren't it? Fabio Grosso scored, and then Del Piero on a breakaway, weren't it?
Yeah. So yeah, tremendous stuff. But so yeah, back to, I don't know how many countries I've been to or games I've seen, etc. It's just been all over.
Have you
really.
ever seen a game outside of Europe?
Well, I've been over to the States for MLS, if that counts.
So, whereabouts in the MLS have you seen?
Well, I went to New York, but they were called Metros then. New York Metros against Chicago Fire.
How long ago was that? Sorry, Ben.
Was that the Yankees?
Well, I went. It was out in New Jersey. Yeah, England had played Colombia. I'll tell you how it come about. I did the England tour of the States, and they played in Chicago and then in New York, and we played Colombia. We played USA in Chicago, and I've got a story there for you if you want to hear
please.
it. Remember, well, I'm out in Chicago with my wife, having a few beers, which is not unusual. Then we're going to get something to eat in this pub. It weren't a restaurant. It were a pub cum restaurant, if you get me drift.
Yeah.
So we stood at bar, and I've got my Rotherham shirt on, actually game one shirt of Martin McIntosh, right? Who were a good centre half that played for us. I think he still lives in Sheffield now at Lodge Moor, but he was a good player. So I've got his game one shirt on, night before England game against USA, and my wife stood at bar with me, and she's quite shy, Tracy. So this waitress comes up and said, "Excuse me, but there's a lady and gentleman over in that booth who would like you to go and join them for drinks." So Tracy's giving me the old elbow, no chance. So I said, "Oh, all right then, yeah, I'm up for that." So she took us over, and we sat down with them, ended up having burger and chips. And it turned out it were the parents of Carlos Bocanegra.
Oh, okay.
He played for Fulham at that time in Premier League, and he were playing for States against England the next day. So and we beat them, I think 2-0. But yeah, so we had a meal with him. He gave us a couple of tickets to go to the tailgate party for the USA players before the game. So not with the players, with the parents of the players. So, and they do know how to have a tailgate, don't they, Americans?
Yeah.
With a nice steak, a nice burger, and a few bottles of Budweiser or whatever you want. So yeah, so it turned out to be a decent night and a decent day next day. But yeah, that was funny because my wife ain't got a ticket for the game. Yeah. So I'm in England end, And then she said on the day, like, oh, I won't mind going at game, on day at game. So I had to get her a ticket in American end, and she was right at the other end at the stadium, very back row, and I could see her sat on end at row. And my wife knows nothing about football. Well, she might do now, but she didn't do then. And they kept asking her, because she were English, Americans were asking her about rules and what were happening here and what were happening there. And she ain't got a clue. In fact, did he make his debut, that Rob Green, didn't he come on at half time for David James? I think James were in net, weren't he? First half, I can't remember now, but I'm sure Rob Green made his debut for England that day. They came on at half time, we were 2-0 up.
Was that when Michael Owen scored a hat-trick?
No, we only won 2-0.
Oh, right. I'm trying to think.
But it were, I'm sure he come on at half time, Rob Green, because he were really nervous, and all England fans said his knees were knocking because they got penalty against States, and he let that one in. Didn't put under his body or through his legs or something, and we drew 1-1.
That was
in South Africa.
World Cup, 2010.
Yeah.
I think Gerrard scored for us as well that game.
Yeah.
So we were winning 1-0, and then they were never in it, and they got like half chance, and it was a soft shot, and it slipped under him and went in. So yeah, but now it's. I went over anyway. I've drifted off again. It were we played Colombia, and that were a good game. I think Hoy might have got hat-trick there, and we beat them 3-1, 3-2 or something.
3-2, I think. Yeah, I remember that game.
In New Jersey, it was a cracking game. But then while we were there, New York Metros were playing Chicago Fire. So we stayed. In fact, I've got the shirt. I bought the shirt while we were there. I've got it here, Uncle. So yeah, and we stayed over for that, and it was so funny because I know MLS has developed now, but when they first started, when the wingers got the ball, they were playing the charge, and they were all going charge as they were like running down wing with ball. So, and then when they lost the ball, like they do in basketball, they were all singing defense. Yeah. So it were different. But I've been back since then, and it has come on. I went to watch Orlando
City.
Yeah, Orlando City. Yeah. Playing purple, don't they?
Yes.
The stadium's purple.
Yeah, I went over to watch Orlando play, and it had moved on. There were no music then, and standard were a lot better as well. But that were probably 5 or 6 years ago that I went back over to watch Orlando. But I'm a big Seattle fan, aren't I? So we're in Seattle, and I went to watch the Sounders. That was 2 years ago, just before all this COVID nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over to watch Sounders. So I'm a big Seahawks fan as well.
Yeah.
So I just basically like Seattle, I think, in States.
Yeah. My MLS team's Philadelphia Unions.
Yeah.
I'm a sports coach, so I've lived in America twice. So I've been to see Philadelphia Unions a few times. So I think they've now become sort of my my first MLS team, my sort of second team.
Yeah. It's it's just a different experience. I just enjoyed it. I mean, when I went to watch Orlando, we went watched the game and then went back into town centre, because their stadiums all tend to be, town centre, city centre, their stadiums all tend to be out in sticks, don't they, as well, away from all the main hub of the city.
Yeah.
And then we went back in and just had a few beers and something to eat with some of some of the Orlando fans. It were good. Enjoyed it. Although the place they took us to, they said it were burritos, that were Mexican. And they said it was best Mexican in Orlando. It was so dark, I couldn't even tell what we were eating, to be honest. It could have been. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Ryan, in terms of like crowd atmospheres, how does it differ from England in the MLS?
Well, to be fair, I think they get more into it with drums and bands and flags. I think they get more into it, whereas ours is just more chanting into it and everything. We don't tend to. I think flags, we more or less banned them now on sticks, aren't we? Because of violence side of things. So I think the atmosphere for me in some of the foreign stadiums, especially your German and your Spanish, is better because basically they get into it more. Well, in fact, in Germany, they always have someone who was never watching the game. He's just like the leader of the orchestra, isn't he?
The guy with the megaphone.
Yeah. And he's always revving the rest of the fans up to create the atmosphere. And that's not even just in top division in Germany, in Bundesliga, in League Two. So I've been to Bochum games where they've had maybe only 11, 12,000 in stadium, but it's still been the same with the flags and the crowd behind the goal, etc. The only thing I can't fathom out about German football is why, when your team scores, do you just throw your pint of beer up in air? If they're allowed beer in stadium in plastic cups, aren't they?
Yeah.
But if they score, they just all chuck the beer up in air and then go and get another one.
It's true. But then again, we do that when we watch the World Cup games together, don't we? Inside the bars and outside.
Well, probably. Yeah, probably.
It's a football thing, I think.
But if I were in a stadium, I'd be holding on to it, and then they could give it to me and I'll drink it for them. So now Americans are the same. They're the same. You can see it. I watch it on TV now as well, and you can see it where the fans are really buying into it, and they've got the drums and the flags. And again, there seems to be somebody that's orchestrating it to get the atmosphere there. But they'll get there. I think they'll keep developing.
I'm sure they will, mate.
The problem states have got, and that's why soccer, as they call it, soccer, it'll never overtake gridiron American football, because I don't think the powers that be want it to. It's not that it can't. I think it would, because it's easier to play, it's cheaper to play.
Yeah.
And there's more kids, it's more accessible to more kids. But I don't think the powers that be want it to, because American football, gridiron, is their national sport.
It's their heritage, isn't it? Well, it's called American football, yeah.
What do they call it? Like Super Bowl, they've just had divisional championships, haven't they?
Yeah.
So I watched them yesterday with Kansas City are playing Tampa Bay, and they call it World Championship, but nobody else plays it. There's only them that play it. They don't allow anybody else in, but it's called World Championships and the World Champions. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I love it. And that halftime show that they have during Super Bowl, second to none. It's unbelievable what it'll be like this year. They've allowed 22,000 fans in, haven't they? At Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But MLS, like I say, Spain, Germany, France, been to them all, and they're all a different experience. But I just think ours is more fanatical. I think we, in UK, we get more behind it as teams, and we're more fanatical from a point of view that it's in us blood. Whereas I think a lot of the other countries, it is just a day out for them, but they're not watching it every day or watching transfer news, etc. You might have odd few fans that are, but I don't think they're as fanatical as we are. I think the nearest are the Germans. I do. But so yeah.
And like you say with the MLS as well, every major city is starting to get a soccer team now as well. Like we've got Inter Miami coming through. We've got Cincinnati. There's talk of Las Vegas. I've heard Las Vegas Lights, and there's even talk of Detroit City as well. I've seen. So
right.
So watch this space. New York's got 2 teams now. Los Angeles has got 2 teams now as well, haven't they?
Yeah,
they have.
So
listen, it's like I say, it is developing, and I wouldn't put it past them where USA actually get close to winning World Cup at some stage.
My dad's always said that he, in a way, hopes America doesn't like embrace soccer like we do, because they've got the money and the power to overthrow it, haven't they? Really, they can make it their own.
Yeah.
They can have.
I agree. If they did buy into it, I think they would win it. Yeah, but again, I'll repeat what I said earlier, because they don't want soccer to become the number 1 sport in USA. That's what holds them back for me. Yeah. So, and it'll always stop them from winning it, because basically they're not committing 100%, because they want gridiron to stay as their number 1 sport. So, but we can only watch this space, can't we?
Yeah, you never know.
You've just got to look at the women's side of the football. I mean, how many times has USA women won the World Cup, and multiple other competitions are part of the women's side of the sport is what, just as competitive.
Yeah. But do you think that's down to the fact that they'll let women buy into it, because gridiron for women over there is not the be all and end all, is it?
No, it's not.
Like it is for men. And like we said, if they bought into it for the men like they have done the women, then yeah, for me, I think they would. They'd win it. They'd win the World Cup. But they'll not do it because they won't buy into it, because they're scared of it. If they became too successful at soccer, for me, it'd outdo gridiron, and then they'd be, there'd be some kind of civil war again in the States. They'd be bringing it. Abraham Lincoln would be back to be signing treaty again. So, so yeah, it's one of them with states. They do put money into it. If they do put money into it, they'll do well. But again, they just don't want to at this moment in time. It's not to say they won't do in future. But I mean, I remember '94. They had 94, weren't it, when they hosted World Cup?
Yeah, Brazil won it, didn't they?
Well, England didn't qualify, did they?
Good old Taylor.
No, that were it. Turnip head, as they called it that time. Bless him. But he that were another funny one, that, because me and mates had booked a villa out in Florida, because we thought England, when we qualified, because we thought we were going to qualify, we'd end up in Florida. So we booked it all and ended up not qualifying, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we ended up, let somebody else have it, never went over. So we were so disappointed. And it looked like a good tournament as well. So we never went, to be honest. So that's I've been over to watch them in that England tour that they had in 2000. I'm sure it was 2007, after Germany World Cup. So, but yeah, best stadium been to is outside of Wembley, because I'm biased. Still, Wembley's best stadium in the world. I've not been to New Tottenham one yet.
I have.
So I'll reserve judgment on that. facilities-wise, you can't beat Wembley. I mean, like all the restaurants and the bars, and I've been down there for concerts and everything, and it's unbelievable behind the scenes. It's not just a football stadium, but the match day experience is fantastic. Absolutely unbelievable, with the fan parks outside and then into the ground. But my tickets are in Club Wembley, you see, and we get live bands in there during game, and it's absolutely brilliant. But away from that, I think the best stadium for atmosphere that I've been to, Schalke.
Schalke, the Veltins Arena.
Yeah. Is it Veltins Arena or something?
Veltins,
yeah.
I can remember you went last year, didn't you? And when we went,
I've been quite a few times, but I'm sure the pitch is on stilts, on wheels or something, and they wheel it in and out, so it gets a little bit, natural light to it.
Yeah, that's right.
So it takes hours to get it out and hours to get it in. But it's such a good atmosphere. They've got the roof that they can either leave open or close. Well, that's where England played Portugal, weren't it, when we lost at Schalke Stadium?
Yeah.
So I've been there for the Schalke Bochum derby. I went in the Bochum end. That's another funny story. Because I didn't realise Schalke played in blue. And I thought it were Bochum because that were their colours. And blue team scored, so I jumped up in Bochum end, and it was Schalke that had scored.
Oh, no. What are you doing?
So, I probably had too much German beer, Jake. That's why. Because Bochum played in blue and white, and I never knew or realised that Schalke were playing in blue and white, and the other team were in orange. So I automatically didn't bother asking, just took it that Schalke were in orange. Blue team scored, so I jumped up, and I was only one, and they're all looking at me, gone out, and I were in Bochum set of supporters. So once he explained, I obviously sat back down, sharpish. So no, it were. I still laugh about it now. So, but no, great atmosphere. 60,000, I think. They have a waiting list for season ticket holders. Unbelievable. It is. It's a good stadium. Dortmund 88,000. It's got some character, but it's one of the older stadiums. Still had the barriers in, painted their colour of their shirts yellow and all that. Mm-hmm. But they do know how to put a pre-game show on at Dortmund as well. That were good. With the singer in the middle of the pitch and doing the "You'll Never Walk Alone." Because I know Celtic do it, and I know Liverpool do it, and I've been to Anfield when they've done it. Yeah. I've never been to Celtic when they do it, but definitely Dortmund's were, because they have the singer in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah.
That gets everybody into it, and he does a bit of a build-up, to rev them up. We actually met him in the bar the night before, and he were explaining it all to us. And then he says, "Well, you'll see tomorrow," because we told him we'd got tickets. But again, and he finished a 1-1 draw. So everybody were happy. Schalke fans, Dortmund fans. But it's not. I think over there, I think they still get a bit of trouble, There's a hell of a lot of police presence on match days at the big games. There's no love lost with the fans. But yeah, good experience. In fact, Dortmund, I don't know whether they have it anymore. When we were over there in October, it were, they had a party called the 5-day party, and it literally went on for 5 days. Yeah. And it went on from something like 11 in the morning till Oh, Wycombe's beating Tottenham. Sorry. Uh, Wycombe's just scored. So I've only got Sky Sport News on it, background. It's just come up. You can edit that bit.
It's fine, we'll keep it in.
So yeah, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. So yeah, basically, they have a 5-day party in Dortmund's, underneath Dortmund Stadium. It's like a velodrome attached to the side. Yeah. And every hour on the hour, they have a professional bike race round velodrome. Yeah. But then underneath the velodrome is all the bars from different countries, like your Cuban rums and your English or British whiskies and whatever. And whatever country, what drink come from what country, there's a bar, like an American one for come on, Jim Beam and all that. And you just walk around old bars, and they had live bands on in middle, and then there were one big room where they had like a big concert going off. And like I remember it because Soft Cell tribute band were on, and I were a big Soft Cell fan in '80s. And they were on, and absolutely party. What a party! Seriously, fantastic, unbelievable. But I couldn't manage 5 days. We only did one. But it were great, and it were attached at stadium, and they sort of had it, and then it all led up to match on Saturday. I don't know whether they still do it now. So I ain't been for years anyway. In October, tend to go over in April and June now. So yeah, like I said, many stadiums I could. Well, there's that many I've had a good time in Denmark. Went over there to watch England, and that were a good time in their stadium. They had a different approach, Scandinavians, but which I thoroughly enjoyed, even though it were expensive about. And I'm going back now, and it were £8 a pint then. So you ask any England fans now to pay £8 a pint. Oh God, they go balmy, won't they? So
the London prices.
Well, London's only five. It's only fiver, isn't it?
No, it's past London prices. I meant, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely. Well, seriously, I went to watch England, Copenhagen. We went. All England fans met in Square at Hard Rock Cafe. Yeah. I sat down. I had 2 pints and chips and a burger. And she brought me a bill, and it was just about £32.
Oh wow!
So I asked her if I'd bought shares in bar. And she just looked at me, gone out as though to say, "That's going rate over here, pal. Pay it." So I just paid it. But it were, and that's going back a while. So I've no idea. I've no idea what it'd be like now. So yeah. But I mean, I don't know. It's just my non-league experiences. Like I said, they're more down to earth, but they're still as good. Like even Stocksbridge, when you go in the bar upstairs after the game, or even at half time when players have gone in for their half time break, you can nip in, and it's great. So welcoming, so friendly, and that's what I like about non-league football. Wherever I've been. So, like I said, Alfreton, they just made you feel so welcome. Owner at club, chairman, or whatever you want to call him, used to come into the little room where they put your buffet out, and they had a fridge that were full of beers. There were no bar or anything. You just got a bottle or a can out at fridge. Not like professional grounds where you've got all your lounges and your boxes, and you get wined and dined with waiter service and waitress service. There were none of that. You go and help yourself, and they gets a sausage roll and a curled up egg sandwich. So, but it were great. Atmosphere were unbelievable, and those are the stadiums which you'll probably know because I know you've been going round to a lot of non-league stadiums where the fans go behind one goal for the first half and then they walk round and go behind the opposite goal for the second half, depending which way their team's kicking. So, which takes me back that to the 70s. Have you ever been to Bury, Gig Lane?
So, I have,
I haven't, no.
Well, I don't think any of us will be going now, though, will we? But, but yeah, I remember going to watch Rotherham at Bury, and that was exactly the same in Football League, where Rotherham fans were behind one goal, Bury fans were behind another. At half time, we both just swapped ends, so we could stand behind the goal that our team were shooting at. But they won't even let you move around nowadays, would they? So
segregation and all that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, you won't even be able to move. You'd stay in the stand that you're in, and that's it now. But no, though, I mean that's how football's evolved and how it's changed, and it probably had to, because basically stadiums have got better, the money in the games a lot higher and bigger than it ever used to be, isn't it?
Definitely.
And that's what's changed it for me. We touched upon earlier about watching reserves, and you knew some lads that were good enough who proved themselves were going to get the chance to play for the first team. And that doesn't happen now. And that's partly down to money, because if they're in the Premier League especially, but even the top end of the Championship, then the money they can afford to spend to try and have a chance of getting back to big time into Premier League, etc. It's just unbelievable. You can never imagine it as a normal fan. And being a Rotherham fan, that's what we're up against anyway, because there's no way our chairman, bless him, Tony Stewart, he does his best. Compete with the big boys. Our budget is second lowest in division. I think there's only Wickham with a lower budget than us. So if you're going on money, we should finish next to bottom. But football's played on grass.
Yep.
So
not in the bank accounts, is it? Yeah.
No. So fingers crossed we can cause a few upsets and stay up this year. But it's a shame we can't go to games. First time we beat Sheffield Wednesday at home since 1976, were it? Or 74.
Been that long?
Yeah, at home.
And it weren't a bad result either.
No, it weren't. It were a great result. But we've always tended to do better at Hillsborough than we have at home against them. Don't know why, but we did.
See last-minute equalisers there, do you?
Just don't even go on about it, Jake. Not last-minute equalisers. The worst one ever is when we were 2-1 up with 90 minutes on clock and lost 3-2 in 97th minute or added on time. So if you want the highs and lows of football, 90 minutes 2-1 up, Steve Evans running down touchline, thinking we'd won, and then 7 minutes later they banked third goal in and beat us 3-2. Gordon Bennett.
Oh dear.
I can't explain how I felt after that. So I think I'll let you imagine.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
But yeah, beating them 3-0 and not being able to be there. And if you remember, it were on a Wednesday night as well, Jake. And what do I do on a Wednesday night?
Well, what do we do, should we say? Yeah.
Yeah, what do we do? So I didn't even see it. By the time I got home, it was 3-0 and there were about 10 minutes left. And I only got to see that 10 minutes because thanks to a drone interrupting first half and got delayed.
It did, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, some good times. Got that many friends through football as well. And that's what football's given to me anyway, is a big social circle. And not just the number of kids that we've helped over the years and the games I've been to see in different countries, but it's just the friends, the social circle. And it does, seriously, football helps you in that way. That's why it's a shame with COVID, etc., that a lot of the kids at the moment are missing out on that.
Yeah, they are.
So the sooner the better. That we get back to some kind of normality anyway, whatever that might be.
Well, this is the thing now. We don't know when we're going to be back in the stadiums. We had the 2000 in tier 2 in that lot, but now we're in another lockdown, so we're back to square one.
Yeah. Listen, I know, and however London got into tier 2 and they were allowed 4,000 fans in, and Liverpool were at tier 3 and they got 2,000 in.
Yeah.
London, especially, what's gone off since? No idea. You'd have to get Boris on and ask Boris on that one. Boris Karloff, as I call him.
I'm sure he's having a horror on the podcast.
He's having a horror. So, but yeah, no, it's. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can't see us getting back in stadiums this year. If I'm being totally honest.
No, well, we'll sit near enough halfway through through now, so I can't see it.
Yeah. No, I can't. There's no way this lockdown's going to finish in middle of February either.
I don't think that either, no. I think it'll be extended.
Well, Germans have, aren't they? They did it straight away in December and locked down to Easter, didn't they?
It was along those lines. Every country's done it different, and every country's got loads of different outcomes.
I think they've got to, haven't they, Ben? They've got to do it differently because basically, well, it's the number of cases, or is it all throughout the country, or is it just in certain regions? So they're all having to handle it differently.
Yeah.
So what we do is let them all catch it in London, and then instead of isolating them, we tell them all to get on trains, planes and automobiles and go and spread it all over and just go home and spread it all around. So we're a bit like Quality Street, aren't we? We believe in sharing. So, yeah, it's a weird and wonderful thing, and I'm sure we'll all get through it together. Football's doing best it can, with games every night on TV, and they're spreading them out. So there's always football on.
Yeah, well, this is the thing though. Once we're back to normal, there's a chance of an 3 o'clock kickoffs on Sky and BT.
Yeah, well, that'll be a shame. Again, 3 o'clock Saturdays, meeting your mates, making a day on it. A couple of beers before, going at match, couple of beers after, and then getting train home or whatever. That used to be a normal Saturday, didn't it?
Yep, it was.
But nowadays, I just can't understand all these 4 o'clock kickoff on a Sunday, and I have got to be honest about that. And I'm not old-fashioned either. People can think what they want. I'm not. But at the end of the day, again, it's down to money and TV companies saying you will do this or else. Because if they pull plug, how many of these Premier League sides do you think could survive with contracts they've got players on if they didn't have Sky money coming in or BT money?
There'll be lots of them what does not survive.
Many left?
Yeah, I'd love to know how much they are in debt, really, if they had to add up all their players' wages that they've got on contracts, and then Sky and BT pull plug. They'd all go at wall. They'd end up going at wall. So, but what do you think about this Super League then? Do you think this will happen or?
No, FIFA have pulled the plug on it. They said if anybody partakes in it, they're not playing in World Cup or Euros. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not happening.
I'd heard something about that, but I didn't know how far it had gone.
Well, I think that's buried in sand now.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. Why do they want to break away? There's no need to. Haven't they got enough with Premier League and everything else? Yeah, Champions League. I mean, that's enough for them, isn't it?
There was talk of them doing like a summer club World Cup. So it see teams like Liverpool playing River Plate in a competitive fixture. I think that'd be brilliant every now and then. But not a league.
Yeah.
Not a league every year. That'd be terrible.
Yeah. Well, you've got to... Some things have to change. A bit of variety every now and again. It just puts a different slant on it, doesn't it? But again, at the end of the day, it's not just that. It's all travelling. How do fans get there? I mean, is it just going to be they'd have to watch on TV? Because most of them can't afford to take time off work and travel to River Plate to watch one game, can they? And then come back.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and don't get me wrong, like I said, a lot of our fans in UK were fanatical. So they would. A lot of fans would make that effort, but it'd cost them a fortune to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Definitely. So,
yeah, it's, as Jimmy Greaves always said, it's a funny old game. So, but yeah, look, I don't know where it's going to end or whatever, but hopefully by this time next season we'll all be back in grounds and you can be doing your blogs in stadiums or something.
Get the 92 club back on track, eh?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely. Like I've said to you before, I admire you for it. Get it done while you're young enough and etc. Because there will be other distractions as you get older and you'll never get there.
Yeah.
So I used to travel everywhere with Rotherham. And then when Rotherham weren't playing, I'd jump on a train with one of my mates and we went down at baseball ground to watch Derby when Dave Mackay was manager and they were winning league and doing well in Europe on baseball ground, which never had any grass on it, with just 6-inch of mud all the time. Roker Park, old Sunderland Stadium.
Roker.
I remember going up there. That were a big stadium as well. So, and they've always had a good following, so a good fan base.
They have,
so
yeah.
Atmosphere were really good. Newcastle, being up there before Premier League days when basically, for me anyway, it weren't an all-seater and that were a good atmosphere. That were probably one of the best atmospheres I've been to in Britain. Newcastle, but pre-Premier League days. Yeah. When it were, we could all stand up and everybody could have a good old sing-song. So they do know how to party as well, the Geordies. So that were a good experience. I thought that were good as well. You remember when Wembley were being done, new Wembley?
Yeah.
And England, they travelled, didn't they, over the country? They went to Old Trafford, played at Newcastle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember beating Jamaica 7-1 at Old Trafford.
Yep.
So were it Old Trafford when Beckham scored that free kick?
Against Greece.
When we drew 2-2.
Yeah, last minute, yeah.
So, I were there. I know I were there. Obviously, I just couldn't remember the ground. I thought it were Old Trafford.
Yeah.
So I've got the ball here in a case from free kick. But there were 6 balls, weren't there? So you don't know actually if it is the ball. And they auctioned them off through England Supporters Club, and I got one.
Wow.
So from Greece game. So it's and it's up here now in my room.
So that's a memorabilia for you?
No, it is. I've got quite a bit actually. Bobby Moore lifting World Cup, signed by Bobby Moore. I've played on Wembley twice as well.
Ooh.
Not mentioned that.
No.
So played on Wembley twice for Bobby Moore's bowel cancer fund. His wife runs. You have to raise £1,500 and then you can play. So I got people to sponsor me, and every penny went to Bobby Moore bowel cancer. I think we raised something like 86,000 on each day.
That's a fantastic effort.
Yeah. So I took Tim down with me second time, Jake, my son.
Yeah.
He played with me on second time. But you play 2 games. You have 4 teams. You play a semi-final and then a 3rd and 4th place playoff and then a final. The first time I were in it, in fact, we played with, oh God, I can't remember his name now. Remember the lad at Tottenham who died? He had a heart attack, the black lad.
Oh, is it died?
Mwamba.
No.
Oh, is it Bowie?
He were a coach at Tottenham and he had a heart attack.
Coach at Tottenham.
Oh, God, I'm putting my head in now. Sorry?
Is it Hugo Egiog?
That's it, Hugo Ekiog.
I mean, yeah.
He was my captain that day. I played with him. He were a great kid. Seriously, really. All the lads that were playing, some of the kids that were playing, actually had cancer, bowel cancer, and they'd had operations and everything. So there were young lads, middle-aged lads, and then your old ones like me. And they just wanted to play on Wembley. And Hugo Ekiog embraced it, and he rolled everybody on and everybody off. Yeah. But then the second time I played, I played for Dennis Wise. Oh, God. Total opposite. Straight away in changing rooms. We're playing to win and all this, and we're going to do this and do that and do other.
Yeah.
But first time I played with Hugo Ekiog, I got picked in England team. You just got drawn out at hat, and when we played for England, it were England, Germany, Brazil, and Argentina, and I got England, and we finished 4th out of 4.
Oh dear.
So, Tottenham's equalised, Gareth Bale. So second time we're playing. Got picked out at that, and I'm playing for Germany with Dennis Wise, and we won it. Yeah, we won a semi and then won his final. But he was so serious; it was unbelievable. So I enjoyed it more with Hugo Ekiog and finishing 4th, and it was great day out. No matter where you finished, you walked up the steps, you touched the FA Cup that they had there on display, where they normally pick it up, and everybody were given a medal. But if you won it, you just got a winner's medal instead. That's all. But it were just a great experience. But going on that Hugo Ekiog, I've got to say it. We lost in semi-finals on a penalty shootout, and basically he says it was sudden death straight away. So he said, "Well, I'm ex-pro. I'll take ours." First one. No, he nearly hit corner flag.
What?
He screwed it off inside of his foot and it nearly hit corner flag. Bless him. Yeah. And then they scored and beat us. So we never let him live it down afterwards in Bath. Hang on a minute. Yeah, I'm pro. I'll take this one. So it was so funny. Honestly, but yeah, so that were a great experience as a keen England fan, actually playing on the hallowed turf as well. So, but that's things you don't hear about, that there are opportunities out there for people if they want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely.
So I know you got to raise £1,500 and it were a big effort, but end of the day I got a lot of lads from the old Edwardians, Wisewood Old Edwardians, veterans team, Jake.
Yep.
Everybody were chucking a tenner in, and before you know it, you still get there.
Yeah, you do, yeah, definitely.
So, but it was great, absolutely fantastic. So I've had, like I said to you, I could go on forever. I've had that many good times through football, in playing abroad and just games that I've been to abroad. Right, you remember the Valencia-Villarreal game I said I'd been to? Well, outside the Mestalla, There's, the lad who follows Spain, and he's got the drum, hasn't he? Always dresses up and takes the drum everywhere with him. Goes to every Spanish game. Well, he owns a bar that's outside the Mestalla in the square. And we went in his bar before game and things like that people you thought you'd never meet, and you do. Because just a twist of fate, he happens to have the bar outside one of the stadiums that you're going to watch a game in. So, yeah, that were a good experience as well. 2-2, that one finished. But really good game. And you were sitting there in 25 degrees temperatures, so you weren't freezing. So that were a good experience as well, sitting there watching it in decent conditions. So, yeah. But
apart from Adler Riemke in Germany, have you ever seen a non-league game abroad? Like non-foreign.
Well, I have, but it depends what standard you want to go down to. I went over and watched a bit like Stocksbridge Park Steel's version of Bochum, and they played against the equivalent in Schalke. Yeah. Now, I don't know whether they didn't. Schalke had an old stadium that won, yeah, and that's their home ground. So I actually went to watch Schalke's whatever team. I think they're playing at 7th level in Germany against Bochum's 7th level. And I'll tell you why I went, because do you know Roger? Do you remember Roger from Bochum? Roger Dorney he used to be a professional goalkeeper, yeah. And he played for Germany in World Student Games in Sheffield in 1991, right? And that's how I got to meet him. And then basically he played for, I think might have been VfL Bochum, but obviously he's older now, and he had a bad shoulder injury, so he dropped down a few levels.
Yeah.
And he were actually playing in that game, so that's why I went to watch. And they won 1-0 actually. So but it was just like being at Stocksbridge. There were probably 200 or 300 fans there. A good atmosphere. Everybody were talking. There were no nastiness or anything. But that's about the only lower league game I've been to abroad from football point of view, because every other one I've been to has been a professional game. Went down to Stuttgart, down to southern Germany. That were all right. In fact, but one place I've never been to in Germany, where probably most people head to first, and that's Munich.
Munich?
No, I've been to Berlin. I've been to Berlin. I've watched her to Berlin. And what's the other one called now? Berlin, something 1860, Union. Is it, or something? Yeah, no, sorry, no, it's wrong one I've got. It's the other Berlin team. Yeah, that's it.
Union
so,
Union Berlin, so I think they're
I've been to Berlin. I went to what was the other one? Oh, come on. Been over to Schalke more than once. But there were another team I went to watch as well. But that were up north as well. Yeah, Cologne, that's it. You've got it with Cathedral, yeah. So Cologne, yeah, I went to watch them as well. But they were in second league then when I went, not in the top division. I don't think they're in top division now, are they? In Bundesliga.
I think
they might be. But Bochum's doing well this year, Jake. They're second at the moment. So they might have a chance of coming back up. No, I do as well.
I hope they do.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
Right, Brian.
Sorry, Ben, you broke up.
Oh, sorry. We'll finish off with one last question. I mean, I could speak to you all day, but we can try and maybe catch the second half of the Spurs game. So, last question, just to sum up: football in 3 words. How would you sum it up? How I describe it?
Oh, that's 3 words, right? I'd just say absolutely flaming fantastic. I can't describe it any other way. It's just get out of it what you can, but it's there to be had, and it's a great experience. So for everybody, you've got to enjoy it. Don't get worked up by it. Just enjoy it wherever you go and watch football. I can watch a game walking past a park. Just walk past the park. I don't even know teams, and I'll stop and watch it. And
True.
You can always enjoy every game. No matter what level it's at. Everybody thinks it's got to be top level, Champions League, whatever, to be like worthwhile, but it's not. It's not. You've got to enjoy the beauty. There's the 3 words. Enjoy the beauty. That's the one. Enjoy the beauty, seriously. Because what do we call it? The beautiful game, don't we? So all I'd say is enjoy the beauty. Seriously.
That's a great 3 words, that one.
So
I like it.
And believe me, I've enjoyed the beauty at Millmore and New York Stadium many a time. People might laugh
Not
at
Don
me,
Valley.
but I have. Look, even if we were like the ups and downs of League One and Championship, what is it? 6 years, and we've been up and down 3 times. So at the end of the day, you've got to enjoy it while you're there. That's what I mean. Grasp the moment and enjoy it. Seriously, I do. I look forward to every game. Not so much now on telly with no crowd and no atmosphere, but I'm on about when you're allowed in the stadiums and you can actually be there to take in the atmosphere, whether it's 1,000 people there, 8,000, 25,000, whatever. It's a different atmosphere and you've got to appreciate it. So yeah, that's me.
Right. Fantastic, mate.
No,
It's been a pleasure, Brian.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Jake. And hopefully I'll
No problem, mate.
might see you at a game soon or even a training session. Let's hope. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right. All right
I'll
then,
be
lads.
back.
Yeah, we will be. So, as I said earlier, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. So, all right. Yeah, no worries,
Thanks
lads.
for coming on, Brian.
Enjoy the second half, and I'll catch up with you later. Cheers.